Things change, things do up ahead. The story you're writing isn't written yet. This evening is only a page in the morning. Your writer will begin again.
The ink you breathe is never dry, and you won't predict your course, no matter how hard you try.
And while there will be more frustration and pain,
There will also be joy, fortune, and love.
up ahead and just out of view, the world is waiting for you. The world is waiting for you.
Up ahead and just out of view, the world is waiting for you. The world is waiting for you. So let me be your cure. I'll push your fears aside. Together we could find your answers.
And when it gets too dark, so dark we just can't hide, we let love, we will let love, oh we will let love be our guide.
Up ahead
And just out of view,
up ahead.
and just out of view,
The world is
waiting for you. The world is waiting for you.
Oops, where'd I go? Here I am. Okay, this is going to be a recorded interview I'm going to play, and even though the man Michil, I think I said that right, will probably be angry at me that it's not all polished and stuff, but I do a lot of interviews, and I really love it. I really love hearing people's stories, and this man actually reaches a point where he breaks. You'll see it in the piece where the story was too painful to go into. I'm hoping to interview him again. But the real story, what he talks about, I actually wept several times in this story simply because he was like holding a mirror up to our country for us to see where we are and where we're going. And it wasn't a good reflection. And he's English isn't his first language. He says that English is his enemy, but he is he's almost, I think he's almost 90 or this. He's very old, but he is beautiful. He is articulate. He is wise, and he is full of scars from the life he's led. And yet he had a piano in his place. We didn't have the time for hear him play the piano, which is why I'll see him next if he's still talking to me. But this story goes in parts, My microphone is a bit quiet, so you'll have to listen to me. But for the majority of the time, he spoke, and the thing about the hang glider is that he was one of the first Czechoslovakians to build a hang glider in Czechoslovakia under the socialism, under the regime, the USSR's regime, and I asked him what it was like when he actually got into the air and he was up there and free from everything that was trying to control him. And he says the answer in it. But I feel that this, for me, this is a really important interview because it helps us in our journey to try understand how we got here, why we stay here, and where we're going. And so I think it's an important interview, but that's up to you to decide. Anyway, this is my Czechoslovakian friend. With part two of when you decided to escape. Who did you tell? Did you tell anyone in your family? And then what the escape was like. But what was the thing where you, if you can remember the moment where you thought, okay, I'm escaping?
Well, I will never forget about it. Once again, I'm of Russian origin, but living in Australia, in Czechoslovakia, I lived full of hatred towards Soviet Union.
Okay.
All right?
And you had to hide that hatred. You had to hide.
Of course, of course. Ah, well, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my mind, they were guilty because the regime, the mind-controlling regime controlled my mind because of them. Yeah. That's what I thought at that time.
To myself, the moon plucked me from the dust on their shelf. Can you see me whirling through their bars? I'm warming my soul in a sea of stars, and all I have to do to reach the sky is dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye. And all I have to do to reach the sky is dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye.
So, first off, can you just tell us your name and where you were born?
It's like a KGB. All right. My name is Michil Prouza, and I was born in Czechoslovakia.
Now, when you were born in Czechoslovakia, that's when the USSR was controlling Czechoslovakia?
It was controlling, but it was definitely not part of. As many Australians believe that Czechoslovakia used to be part of USSR. No, not at all. And I think, look, I really would like to pass to your audience, to you and your audience, one message which I think is crucial. Australians, particularly now, get, yeah? And that is what the communism, you used to call it communism, what the communism was about. And I would really love you to understand me, what I mean, if I express my sorrows that the regime that I tried to escape 40 years ago provided much better life for people than what we are living now here and experience now here in Australia.
That's an extraordinary comment.
I am dead serious. I'm dead serious.
Well, let's go back to when you were born. So as you were growing up as a young child, what was it like growing up in Czechoslovakia? Because the way we were shown in the West was that it was like 1984. Because we didn't have the internet. All we had was Hollywood and the
Yeah.
news, and they portrayed you badly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was it like growing up in Czechoslovakia?
Look, can I first help people to know a little bit about Czechoslovakia? It's very important because it might help you understand my sort of life philosophy views, you know. All Australians are very sensitive in regards of Anzac, yeah? Which means First World War, yeah? So let me start then, yeah? During the First World War, the Bohemian Kingdom, later Czechoslovakia, was part of Austrian Empire, yeah? And it was the part of Austrian Empire which was the industrial hub of the whole empire. It was a huge empire, yeah? And the industrial hub was the Bohemian Kingdom at that time. Firstly, it was a resource-rich area, and with really skilled people, yeah? Thus, at the end of 19th century, that was really the birthplace of the industry of the empire, all right? And during the First World War, they practically provided weapons and machinery, war machinery for both Austrian and the German Empire, all right? And after the First World War, the then Czechoslovakia inherited this industrial wealth, all right, and has become highly industrialized, well-developed country in Europe between the two wars, yeah? If the society has got such a strong industry, it's a good potential for becoming rich, which means also well-educated, well-developed, you know, and between the two world wars, it was one of the most democratic countries, next to France, the second most democratized country in Europe, due to the wealth and the richness, all right? Unfortunately, in 1938, when French and Brits betrayed then Czechoslovakia in Munich and literally gave Czechoslovakia on a plate to Hitler. Well, why? Why was Hitler interested in getting Czechoslovakia?
Because of all the wealth?
Because of the industry. Germans were not allowed to produce significant sort of weaponry.
Yeah, that's right.
All
no
right.
Tanks and anything
No,
like that.
and Czechoslovakia was, particularly between those two wars, developed massive war industry, all right? Germans did use Czech tanks when they attacked France and yeah?
That's incredible. I've never heard that.
Funny thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the reason why Hitler was so keen to take over Czechoslovakia and did take in 1938. Only then he attacked Poland, you know? And in 1945, Yalta meeting between Roosevelt, Churchill and Stalin, these guys drew the line across Europe, you know, and decided who is going to be in control of what part of Europe. And that was, as a result, the Bohemia, then Czechoslovakia, has fallen under the control of Russians, of USSR, of Stalin at that time. Yeah? But particularly between the two, in that period between the two wars, the Czech people really got into their DNA the democracy,
Wow.
the freedom, you know?
Yeah, I get it. And you
The good life, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, not good life, not for all of them. Yeah?
No, I
it was
understand.
the beginning of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's say within Europe, it was one of the most developed countries. Yeah. As I have said, with the riches comes also the mental and spiritual development of the people. And they really loved the freedom. They really loved the democracy. You know?
What a tragedy.
In then practically post-feudal Europe.
Yeah.
Do not forget, Europe was full of kingdoms, you know, of different shape and different form, all dictatorships. Yeah, say Poland, it was dictatorships in Poland at that time. Yeah, Pilsudski, Stalin, another dictator. Yeah, Mussolini in Italy, another one, the father of fascism.
Spain too?
Spain too. Yeah, all right. So really, the Czech people did get amazing opportunity to experience democracy, to experience it, and it stood in the blood. Thus, when after the Second World War, the USSR regime, how are we going to call them? Communist regime? Let's call them communist regime. The communist regime took control. They were not present. You know, the army was not present there, yeah? But the influence was there, yeah? So when they came in, and particularly when the Communist Party, Czech Communist Party, won the elections in 1948. They won the elections, yeah? They very soon realize what mistake they did make, you know, calling to power people like Klement Gottwald, the president at that time, all right? And the memory of what democracy is about, you know, as I said, was in their blood, in their DNA. Yeah? And this is the society that I was born to and I grew up in. But I was already growing up in, say, socialist schools. I was working in socialist companies, you know. But the democracy did not evaporate from the memories of our parents, you know,
Yeah.
and our grandparents. And for example, my grandparents on the father's side, these were, we can call them today entrepreneurial people, yeah?
Yeah.
So they were not necessarily the so-called working class, all right, or proletariat, yeah? And on my mother's side, my grandparents were Russian nobility,
Wow.
who was expelled from Russia after 1917 revolution. But it was the Tolstoy brand nobility, you know. They loved their mujiks as they loved God. Yeah, in a way they were socialists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you know anything about Tolstoy, yeah, he was idealist.
Yeah.
You know, all right. So you can imagine what was the environment the family environment I was growing up in. Yeah. And no wonder I became resentful towards the regime we lived under, even though I think I should really say, because people have no idea what I'm talking about when I say socialist regime.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about that.
In Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Look, when the communists took power in 1948, their goal, their aim was, can I check my notes?
Sure.
So
You were talking about the goals of the communists when they took over. So what were their goals?
yeah, so I did realize you people here in Australia, lucky people in Australia, you really have no idea what this so-called socialist regime was about, and about the methods of governing they were using. And I would like to point out what were the primary goals of say, Czechoslovak regime, communist regime. The critical thing was equality. Familiar?
Yeah.
To you today?
No, yeah.
Equality. All right? The second was providing the people, the population, with reasonably comfy life and their life needs. Yeah? The critical needs.
Yeah.
Yeah? And the third important goal was to protect you people, their people, us, from the influence of the evil West.
Us.
Yeah, from you people.
Yeah.
All right? These were the three major goals of the so-called socialist regime. Yeah? Equality, reasonably good life, you know, and protection against the foreign philosophy or ideology, I should say.
Yeah, correct.
All right? And let me check my notes.
But while they were the goals, did they achieve those goals, or was the
I think-
ideal and the reality separate?
I think they have. I think they have. And I say so because of my last month's experience from talking to Czech people today. As I have said, I think people of my generation in Czechoslovakia today are saying that the life in the so-called socialist country, socialist Czechoslovakia, was much more easier for them than the life today. Because today, Czechoslovakia, the same as I shouldn't say Czechoslovakia because it's not anymore Czechoslovakia, but Czech Republic, similar to Germany and practically the rest of Europe, it's going down the drain, you know. The countries got deindustrialized. the population is not able to reproduce itself, and does not resist to be exchanged with population of different sort.
Oh yeah, so they're
Yeah.
importing Muslims and
Middle
stuff there
East,
too. Yeah, Middle
Africa,
East. Yeah.
all right? So it's not Europe stops being Europe.
Yeah. So Czechoslovakia, as you know it, is gone or is going.
Well, similar thing, even though the immigration, the forced or the orchestrated immigration into Czechoslovakia is not as prominent as in Germany or in France. I've got family in France, and I can tell you, yeah, it's not France anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not bloody France anymore. Yeah.
Can I go back though for one question?
Yeah.
If it was so great like a memory, why were people leaving, escaping?
Well, I will easy. First of all, imagine you are born, and your mother got 2 years paid maternity leave. Yeah?
Yeah.
All mothers in Czechoslovakia did get 2 years maternity leave.
Extraordinary.
All right? Paid maternity leave, yeah? All people in Czechoslovakia lived in government-provided accommodation, which was of a reasonably good quality, well above the average of an Australian government housing, well above the average of the Australian government housing. Cheap as, yeah? Imagine your salary, your monthly salary is, say, $2,000, yeah? And your rent for a 2-bedroom home would be $75. How would you like that?
For the month.
Yeah, for the month.
Yeah. That's extraordinary.
All right? All education was free. You didn't have to spend, your parents didn't have to spend a penny on your education up to your doctor's degree. Yeah? Health. All health, including dental. Yeah? Or eye, yeah? Everything was free of reasonable quality, on a reasonable level. The point was, here in Australia, health is a business. Yeah?
Correct.
The more people are sick, the more money you as a doctor make. Yeah?
Correct.
Or you as a pharmacist, yeah? Or pharma industry. Back in Czechoslovakia, the goal was to keep people working, because the government did need your work. Somebody could call it slavery, yeah? But
what were the hours of working? Say you were working
8 hours, 8 hours, 5 days a week, 5 days a week, yeah, 8 hours. And you asked me, did they achieve the goals? Yes, one of those goals was the equality. I'm just trying to describe now the conditions of life, yeah? And really everybody, nearly everybody, did have a equal life, you know? Very similar salary, very similar income, free education, free healthcare. If you needed, you did have a free legal advice, yeah? Accommodation. There was no one homeless man in Czechoslovakia. Not one homeless man was in Czechoslovakia. All right? That was real novelty to me when what I saw here. All right? 40 years ago.
So my question is, going back, or where you're working up to, it sounds like nirvana.
I forgot your question. What was your
Is why-
the last question which you
If
asked
it,
me?
it sounds fantastic, but then why were people escaping?
Well, why? Alrighty. So I just wanted to say the equality. Yes, we have all equal, and at that time we thought a miserable, equally miserable life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's number one. We all of us believed that the life in the West is much better, much higher paid, much better accommodation, much better health care, much better schooling, Well, we were stuck to Hollywood movies,
Yeah.
and to Free Europe radio, and Voice of America station. And they fed us with full spoons, of this propaganda.
Yeah.
All right? So that was, many people were really sick of that enforced equality, because yes, in every society there are more or less ambitious people.
Yeah, of course.
And if you were really an ambitious one in Czechoslovakia, well, bad luck, mate.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
So they went.
You have
into
to be
entrepreneurs.
equal.
Yeah, they went into entrepreneurs then.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But the most, at least from my viewpoint at that time, the worst thing about life under socialist regime was that they controlled everything: the education, the media, all information flow, all right? They even control your thinking.
How did they do that?
They even control your wishes. How did they do that?
Yeah.
Well, one wise man said, give me control of education in any country, and within 30 years, I will get control over that country, which means one generation.
And that's what
All
we're
right.
seeing here with our universities.
And that's exactly what the communists, applied in all so-called communist countries, all right? They started to mold the mind of the small child, from the birthday,
Yeah.
And yes, we have talked about those niceties of the equality, yeah. But you had to pay for the free education, for the free health care, for extremely low taxes, unbelievably low taxes, all right? You had to pay with your freedom.
Wow.
You have to pay with your freedom of thinking freely. You were not allowed to read whatever you would like to read. You could read only what was available. All right?
Was there a black market of literature?
Of course there was, and of course there was underground movements. When I was at the university, we also sort of established a resistance group. Yeah, and coincidentally, that's why I went to Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic last month. To celebrate the anniversary of establishing of that resistance movement.
Yeah.
But in majority, the population went with the flow,
Complied.
complied, yeah. Familiar?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Well, when
Yeah.
you said about the controlling the thinking in the schools, I now think of like Jacinta Allen in Victoria. Once 5-year-olds taught trans ideology that they can be any sex they want. They just
Yeah.
it's bullshit.
Well,
They're teaching them at 5.
the Australian regime, today's Australian regime kidnaps the kids the same way as they were kidnapped, as we were kidnapped in the socialist country. You know, you ask how did they achieve that the people did not revolt? Well,
When I'm just thinking of the Hungary Revolution.
I'm just looking for the words. You know, English
Yeah.
English is my enemy. You know, and
Why don't you use the Czech word, then it might come to you.
no. Well, how would you force somebody, you know, to preach and accept your preaching? Well, with fear. Yeah?
Yeah.
And first of all, there was ever-present censorship. Familiar?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah? Secondly, you were obedient to comply. You were obedient to applaud any government's decision. Of course, to agree with it. It was what was expected from you. And this is what you paid with for the privilege of having free education, free health, and all those benefits,
Yeah.
life benefits, all right?
Yeah. So you had to lie always.
Yeah, so you were either forced to lie or you really believed in it.
Yeah.
You know that the government is doing the best what it could for you.
Can I say, if you weren't going to escape and you wanted to live a life where your soul wasn't in torment, would it be easier to believe that the government was right? And then
Of course,
you
it
were
was
lying
much
to
more
yourself.
convenient. It was much more convenient because, look, if you did not applaud the government, if you even said you are against some decision of the government, of course they smashed you, you know?
And what would smashing be? What would the
Well,
punishment be?
it could be, it ranged from let's say, you didn't get higher education. Yeah?
Yeah.
Here is your basic, you can read and write, now you can go and work.
Yeah.
Yeah? No higher education, for example. Yeah?
Yeah.
Or you worked in a company with a desire to get a little bit up, you know, in the range of the company. No, forget about any rise, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So you were cancelled.
Yeah, yeah. You were, for example, you could even lose your job. Yeah? Let's say you are a doctor. Let's say you are a doctor and you are not compliant enough. So you go and you are going to be a cleaner.
Yeah. Which we are seeing now with nurses and doctors
Oh, yeah.
who wouldn't take the jab.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, familiar?
It almost makes me want to cry.
Yeah?
I have so many tears in me now.
All right?
Yeah.
So the punishment didn't have to be brutal, you know, blood, you know, cut your throat. No. You know, they for example, they knocked you out of your club.
Yeah.
All right?
Ostracized.
Yeah. All right? And of course, and it ranged up and up and up, and on the top was imprisonment. All right?
Yeah.
For example, what happened to my family, my father, he was knocked out of the job, yeah? And he was not able to get any, and he was a scientist, by the way, yeah? He even was not allowed to drive a bus in the town, all right? And only one of his former students, who at that time was a director of one mining company, he was allowed to employ him as a foreman in a mine, underground mine. Yeah?
What did your father do that was so wrong to the government?
Didn't applaud it enough, loud enough. You had to simply demonstrate your compliance, you know? And if you are too shy to show your compliance, you know, you would be target of questioning.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah?
Yeah. So this was the fear, and the fear became
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. And the government did use, as I said, the censorship, and mostly they did develop a network of informers. Yeah? Say, spies, you know?
People willing to dob
Yeah.
everybody else in.
So neighbor was dobbing a neighbor.
Like we saw here during
Like
COVID.
exactly. And I have to, bitterly laugh today because during the COVID period, you know, period of the COVID project, at that time, I bought a house on the coast, and I spent there time to simply put it together a little bit, you know, but the COVID came, yeah. And I was talking to a neighbor one day, and I sort of said to him that it saddens me that I can see a characteristics of a regime which I tried to escape many years ago, being present here in Australia now, yeah? Mm. And it was clear he did not necessarily did not understand it very well.
Or did not want to.
Or maybe didn't want to. And I can remember I told him, believe me, the time when a neighbor will dob a neighbor will come here in Australia. No, never, no, absolutely impossible. The following day, I'm not kidding, the following day, another neighbor was passing by, seeing my car with a different number plate of a different state, you know? And he stops by and say, listen, mate, better go to see police yourself. Otherwise, or I'm going to go to dob you.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So the government did develop really very dense network of confidants, you know?
Yeah.
Of people who were dedicated to the success of the regime, you know? And they were ready to dob you, you know, for anything. Why? Because they were rewarded for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Which meant everyone else lived in complete fear.
Yeah.
And you couldn't it'd be very hard to get close to people.
If you do not applaud loudly enough,
Yeah.
you know, your rise in a company might be not so fast.
Yeah.
But if you dob somebody, well,
Yeah.
familiar?
Yeah. So you create a society of dog eat dog.
Yeah. And as I've said, on the very top was the imprisonment, you know. Not many, not thousands of people,
Yeah.
but there were And I'm just thinking, McBride, how much did he get?
6 years.
5 years and 8 months.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah. Telling the truth.
For telling the truth.
Yeah.
For not uploading the government.
Yeah. And now we have Paul in
Yeah.
here, and
Yeah.
he's in trouble because he dared to bring that big black truck up to Parliament like a symbol of defiance, like a fist.
Yeah.
And they want to crush him.
Yeah.
You don't do that. We told
Yeah.
you to go over there, you go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, so that was for me the control of my thinking, the enforced control of my thinking was the trigger which that made me not to want to bring child in that world. And I thought that the life behind the Iron Curtain is completely different.
Yeah. I get it.
All right.
Yeah.
And I happily produced a child, you know.
Can I ask, just going back to when you were with the resistance group, what sort of activities would you do as a resistance group, or was it just being free together?
Well, the group was at the university, where to be a student of a university, you already had to show you are compliant, or your parents had to show you were compliant, all right? And there was a small group of people, colleagues, students, who sort of said to each other, we will not support this regime, yeah, and we will never comply. We will never be compliant, you know. And we did get together every year, even after the university. We did together every year. And I do not know the word.
But you weren't doing sabotage or anything like this, or handing out pamphlets, or doing protests?
No, not in this.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Look, it was simply impossible in Czechoslovakia. Was impossible to do something really openly.
Yeah.
You know, few people did so, and yes, they did end in deep trouble, yeah, but only a handful of people. Yes, there was a samizdat, we called it samizdat, distribution of texts, of books, you know, underground, yeah, that people typed on typewriter, you know.
Wow.
You did get a copy of the text, you know, and you simply put five copies, made 5 copies, and typed, you know, through the copy paper, black paper, how we call it?
I know the
Carbon
one you mean.
paper, carbon paper, you know, and you produce 5 copies and distribute it. Yeah, that did exist.
Yeah.
They did exist, you know.
That was like the internet of your time.
And sometimes I feel here in Australia, because I write a lot of comments and articles and analysis, you know, and for example, that's a good example. For last 15 years, I published a lot in Czechoslovakia. I published on alternative sort of pages on the internet, yeah?
Yeah.
And I did have very close contact with about dozens of publishers, yeah? And I produced all the time some work, yeah? it was 2 years ago, came a lockdown, well, not lockdown in the sense, yeah, but lockdown on the internet. The government simply switched off, literally switched off, all those guys who who I did publish through.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, all the platforms.
And that was 2 years ago. So the censorship is back, full steam,
Wow.
full steam.
Can I go back just a bit further? When you were in school, was there a moment where you woke up and realized I'm being indoctrinated here? I'm not being taught how to think?
Well,
Or
it
was-
happened to
or-
me.
or you-
It happened to me in my childhood. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't have to wait for university.
Yeah.
You know?
What was the moment? What was it that made you go, wake up?
Well, what was the moment? I think in my case it was in 1968 when there was a period in life of the country called Prague Spring. Some people might eventually heard about it, you know. At that time, a group of communists, Czech communists, came with the idea that the methods the government used to manage the society and the mind of people was not necessarily kosher, you know. And they came with the ideology of socialism with human face. You might heard about it because it really went around the world, you know. The news at that time went around the world. And this is when the people in Czechoslovakia, it lasted about few months. That period lasted few months. And at that time, people did get a taste of really free speech. When you could see easily that the president is moron, you know?
Yeah.
And you can survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. When at that time a lot of books which we distributed through rewriting them on a typewriter, you know, were issued through publishing companies. All right. It was a taste of freedom, short period. And many people, not only myself, but many people woke up at that time, you know, woke up at that time, and yeah, it stuck with me. It stuck with me. And I did make a stupid thing that ever since every night, I was glued to a Radio London, you know, to Voice of America and Free Europe, you know, and I was sucking up all that bullshit, you know,
Yeah.
which they fed us with,
Yeah.
you know, pure propaganda,
Yeah.
which I believed to the letter.
Yeah.
I didn't question one single thing they said, you know. Well, and it sort of gradually built up the resistance in my mind.
So there was a real hunger in your soul.
Oh yeah.
For something more.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and in the end, you had
Yeah.
to feed the hunger, so you had to
Yeah.
escape.
And also it was very much a.
Yeah? What's the time? Just...
Also it was very much a tradition of the family, you know, of the family, particularly the Russian part of the family. So, look, my goal now would be, I wish people understand me here in Australia when I tell them the regime I tried to escape 40 years ago, and I did escape 40 years ago, believing that I will get the taste of democracy, freedom, sovereign life, you know. So that terrible, horrible life in communist or socialist Czechoslovakia was really a Eden in comparison what we here in Australia are experiencing now. We've got political prisoners. We are a police state, aren't we?
We are.
Our mind is very much controlled, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. You have to fight to think for yourself. Yeah.
And if you are not compliant, well, you can lose your job. The same as in socialist Czechoslovakia. Yeah. You might be forced to move to another city. You might be expelled, or you are not allowed to attend your club.
Yeah, that happened here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You must not go to support your football team because you are not jabbed.
Yeah. There was like theatre here. You couldn't go see plays if you were unjabbed.
Yeah.
Only the vaccinated could go. This is why I got cancelled, because I had a theatre company that was doing very well, and I said, segregation is a cancer of the culture, so I won't comply. And so my company will never perform to segregated audiences. And that's it. Since then, no theatres will touch me. ABC won't interview me about my theatre, nothing. I've been completely thrown out.
Well, Michael, can I ask you a control question?
Sure.
Would you be in my shoes and knowing what I know today about Australia, would you escape Czechoslovakia 40 years ago?
Yes.
You would as well.
I like. So these paintings are by whoever, but they're about Australia.
Yes, they are, yeah. This is about the heat, about the fire, about the colors of this country, yeah.
So we're wondering where to restart, because it's very emotional territory. And then you just said to me that you built the first hang glider in Czechoslovakia. And
Not the first, but one of the first.
One of the first. And I asked you, was the reason you built a hang glider because when you were up there flying, you were free?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. Look, as a child, I was living 10 minutes bike ride from the airport, you know?
Yeah.
From the small sort of joy flight airport, you know, with gliders and and you can bet that my dream was to become a pilot. Yeah.
But when you were first flying up there, hang gliding, what did it feel like?
Well,
Suddenly you're by yourself.
well, let me first point one, because I want to use your question to remind you one very important thing. Because I was not compliant enough, you know, the enter into the flying course was not for me.
Yeah, you couldn't get
I
in.
was not uploading the regime enough. Thus, even though as a small child I was over the moon when I was allowed to broom, you know, the floor in the hangar around the plane and touching them, you know. Ow! It was orgasmic for me. It was orgasmic for me. So you can imagine that my goal was to become a pilot. Yeah? No.
Never gonna happen.
You are not uploading enough, you know, our beautiful government. Yeah? Thus, when the first when the first news came that a hang glide was born, you know, we used to call it Rogallo because the inventor of it was Sir Francis Rogallo.
Okay.
This is how we used to call it back in Czechoslovakia. And when I saw one day, I saw in a flying magazine, I saw a picture of hang glider. Straight away, I went and built one.
Wow.
And of course, it didn't fly. Of course, it didn't fly.
Did you ever get it to fly?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, but not the first one.
No, not the first one, yeah.
Not the first one,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah. So I think it was the most beautiful part of my life, the pioneering.
The first part you went up when you finally built it yourself.
Yeah,
You're living in this regime.
yeah.
You don't comply, so you obviously.
And do not forget, you were not allowed to do it, you know.
Oh my God!
And
so
despite I was not allowed to do it, I did it, you know.
wow, so it's a real
All
rebel
right.
this thing
Yeah.
to do. But your first time when it worked and you took the air and you were in the air, what did that feel like?
Orgasmic,
Wow.
as I've said.
Yeah. You said
I
that
will-
touched the place.
I
but
will
flying.
never, ever forget about it, you
Yeah.
know. And
Did you get caught in the end? Did you get in trouble for flying?
oh yeah,
Oh, you did.
oh yeah.
What was the penalty?
Ah well, look, it was, it sort of, it did develop so rapidly. It was sudden, you know.
Yeah.
It appeared and it was unstoppable. They
Yeah.
simply could not stop people to think about it and to attempt to do it.
Were
Yeah.
they believing that you would fly to freedom?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You would
Oh
fly
yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
Austria?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. And therefore, do not forget in those 70s, 1974. At that time, it was not flying; it was jumping. You know,
Oh.
the flights you count in seconds. You know,
Yeah.
or say minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very beginning.
Yeah.
Straight away, when they, I mean, the regime targeted us, straight away. And as soon as they saw us flying, really flying, you know,
Yeah.
let's say for an hour,
Yeah.
you know, then they excluded us from all region around the borders. Yeah?
To make sure you didn't fly.
To make sure you do not fly away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
So going back to, you said you had a picture on your wall of Australia, of Ayers Rock. You read everything about Australia you could find written in Czechoslovakian. Was the symbol of Ayers Rock and all that space like a beacon of real freedom?
Well, my biggest ambition was to get my hang glider, to climb Ayers Rock, and to take off from the top of Ayers Rock
Yeah.
and fly around, you know?
Yeah, very cool.
And you can imagine my disappointment when one day I did get to Ayers Rock without hang glider,
Yeah. Now called Uluru.
now called Uluru, yeah?
Yeah.
And I did realize that it's nearly impossible to get there. Of course, there is a heaps of artificial reasons, you know, why you are not allowed to climb Ayers Rock up. Yeah?
Yeah.
But that was a real disappointment for me.
Now this is the real question here. You beautifully articulated how you were listening to Voice of America, Radio London or London Radio, propaganda from outside.
Yeah.
That was basically trying to draw you across like
Yeah.
bait for a fish.
Yeah?
Once you got here, were we as free as you thought? Where did the reality of the West match what you had painted in your mind the West would be like?
Well, it didn't hit you. You simply, I do not think an ordinary man, you know, is able to cross the boundary and say, wow, yes or no.
Yeah.
it took time, to learn about the life in the West. Yeah.
Was there anything particularly, the first thing that hit you, go, okay, this is different. This is very different from Czechoslovakia. Whether it was shops that had full of stuff or anything, or the TV or movies?
Oh, well, the main difference was in the wrapping, of the products in the shop.
Oh.
It looked more colorful,
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
But
Interesting.
I wouldn't say that the quality was much better. Well, in the West was a range of quality.
Yeah.
From cheap stuff, to really expensive, top quality stuff.
Yeah.
Back in Czechoslovakia, back in the socialist regime, because do not forget, the goal was the equality.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay, so
All
the
right.
quality was there.
The quality was there, but the average,
Yeah. Yeah. So not completely shit, but not really great.
Yeah. Well, some things were of higher quality. Some Czech things were of much higher quality than in the West.
Yeah.
For example, like some cheeses.
Yeah.
Bah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But going up, moving, I think this is the most important thing now, and this is where I've interviewed a lot of people from living in regimes, from Argentina to Portugal, everywhere, is they are seeing it happening here now. It is like it is chased them. They escaped, and now it's come here. And they're fighting it again. The only difference is now there's nowhere to escape to.
Yeah.
What was the first things you saw here where you thought that's socialism or communism?
Well, I have already said. That after about 5 years, I wrote back home a letter saying that I foolishly thought I'm escaping socialism. Now I feel I'm on a way to communism, because that's really the nanny state. The nanny state, the state has got its finger everywhere.
Yeah. This is from
It's
you have
directing your life.
Yeah.
As I say, for example, in all those books about Australia, I sort of created image of the Aussie bloke.
Yeah.
Macho.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. And when I came to Australia,
They were accountants.
well, I could see. Could I exaggerate?
Yeah, go ahead.
I could see pussy boys, walking around the footpath, and imagine there is a stick. There is a stick on a footpath. What should I do?
Oh, a snake, you mean, not a stick.
Stick.
A stick.
Yeah. There is a saying in Czech language that somebody throws sticks in your way. If somebody wants to cause you trouble, to throw a stick on your way, So that's why I'm using this stick. Like a small trouble appears,
Yeah.
Small trouble.
Obstacle.
Small obstacle
Can I hear
appears.
what the saying sounds like in Czechoslovakian? Just to hear the language. You said it was a famous saying in Czechoslovakia.
Někdo ti hodí klacek pod nohy. Do you understand?
No.
Oh,
but I
all
just
right.
wanted to hear the poetry of the language. I have a absolutely dear friend, a brother really. He's a Dr. Borsos, Hungarian.
Yeah.
In Romanian Hungarian. And in their family, they speak Hungarian.
Oh yeah, csókolom szépen.
Yeah, I love listening to it. I don't understand a single word, but I love listening to it. Yeah.
Neither do I understand I even do not know exactly what csókolom szépen is in Hungarian. Yeah. But what was your question?
My question is,
the stick over the footpath. Yeah.
So you basically saw men that were given an obstacle and they couldn't get past it.
Well, without the government, everybody is lost.
Yeah.
I lost my job.
Yeah.
That's the end of my life. I know the government is coming. Don't worry. here is a dole,
Yeah.
you know?
So there's no resilience in the people.
Yeah, yeah. I was just missing, yeah, that's the word.
So it was a nanny state, but the people themselves needed
yeah.
nannying.
So I just feel the population becomes reliant on the government, you
Yeah.
know, which means the government's got control over you.
Yeah.
You know,
So we
and do
call
not
it-
forget, this is, in my opinion, the world of the global government. You know,
Yeah.
to control your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
We call this the she'll be right era. You know, we call it she'll be right.
Yeah.
Meaning, the government will take care. What happened after COVID is suddenly we're going, do we have a constitution? What's in it? Because you had a whole generation didn't even know we had a constitution, didn't know our laws, didn't know anything. We thought that freedom of speech was enshrined in our constitution. And then very early on in COVID, we're going, no, it's implied.
Yeah.
Now there is a Grand Canyon between those two words, enshrined and implied. Forget it, you know. And suddenly we woke up, and what I believe has happened in the last 5 years is the myth of our identity has been washed away, and we no longer know who we are. That's why this march the other day, where everybody was flying the Australian flag, was like was seeing a living memory. That's who we are. That's our flag. This is who we are. But for 5 years, we have been lost.
I can tell you a strong moment of from our gathering at the lake at the Governor General. I'm sorry, I can't remember. No, this is something which we could not broadcast.
Yeah, sure.
It was about Stephen, the lawyer, the constitutional lawyer who was killed in Warwick.
I've
Robinson, Stephen Robinson, I think.
Yeah,
his
he was.
name.
I can't remember his second name. I don't think it was Robinson, but he was. He came to Epic. He dressed as a World War One soldier.
I remember him very well. Yeah.
I've been to Warwick.
Yeah.
I met with his friend who talked to him all night before he was
Yeah.
killed. It was a tragedy. This
Have
was
you
very
switched it off?
simple. No, as we can talk about this, I've done that interview. I even went into the police station and I was terrified. But I went in and I said to them, I'd like to talk to someone about what happened to Stephen. And they just came out and said, we don't know who that is.
Yeah.
But that was bullshit because, you know, there'd been a huge siege.
You see, and that's exactly what you would experience in Czech police station 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is the point of this part, even if we do another interview. But right now, the point is, you grew up in what literally we are becoming. You know, as Australia. We are becoming what you grew up in, and you chose to escape in the search of freedom. Only to find that
And that incredibly saddens me. It's incredible. It incredibly saddens me.
Yeah. And the
you know?
only reason they're getting away with it is compliance from the people.
I'm sorry, I have to go to the toilet.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm going to start again here with part 2 of when you decided to escape. Who did you tell? Did you tell anyone in your family? And then what the escape was like. But what was the thing where you, if you can remember the moment where you thought, okay, I'm escaping?
Well, I will never forget about it. Once again, I'm of Russian origin, but living in Australia, in Czechoslovakia, I lived full of hatred towards Soviet Union.
Okay.
All right?
And you had to hide that hatred. You had to hide.
Of course, of course. Ah, well, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my mind, they were guilty. because the regime, the mind-controlling regime controlled my mind because of them.
Yeah.
That's what I thought at that time, all right? Today I know they were very independent. I mean, the Czech government was very independent that was their decision, their decision to control the people. They were not forced into it by any regime, Yeah? And in 1982, my boss, because I speak Russian, so
What was your job? What were you doing for work?
I was a chief of architectural office.
Okay.
But my boss sent me to Russia to personally deliver some letter to another director of another Russian company, all right? Do not forget, corruption does not exist only in Australia. Corruption is part of any government, in my opinion, And this way he enabled me to see the Russia with my own eyes. And it was shock to my system when I came to Moscow and later to St. Petersburg. I could not believe my eyes because, to cut it short, the most horrible thing about the Soviet Union was the fear was ever present. People didn't talk to each other. People were fearful you were fearful of your son, of your own child. You were scared to say something in front of and the fear was so intensely present, that when I was returning back home, I knew when the plane will land in Prague, I will go on my knees and I will kiss the concrete, and thank God that I am not living in Russia in 1982, yeah? And because the Czechs were fed from early morning till late night with belief, or they're forced to believe that Russia shows us the way, we just follow. I was just thinking, bloody hell, if that is to be my future, no, this is irreparable. This is completely indestructible, I would never, ever imagine in 1982 that the regime could ever change.
Yeah.
In my life,
Yeah.
At that time I was a young man.
I've talked to Romanians who never thought the Romanian regime would fall.
Yeah.
I've talked to Polish and Hungarians. They all thought it was here forever.
Well, do not forget, majority of people, of Romanians, of Bulgarians, of Hungarians, of Czechs, of Polish people, they were happy. They just accommodated, walking around the
where I got pepper sprayed.
yeah.
The first time we saw stormtroopers as Australian police. The sign that I held up was Australia, land of the free, as long as you do as you're told.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I'm saying I can see so many parallels between the Czechoslovakia I was trying to escape 40 years ago and the present state in Australia. I can tell you one thing. In one of the first letters which I wrote from Australia back home at that time, was also a sentence. I tried to escape socialism, and I might be on a way to communism. That was my feeling, say 35 years ago, you know. At that time, I was already sort of semi-familiar with the life in Australia, and I could already see at that time the similarity between the intention of the communist regime in Czechoslovakia and here in Australia.
Wow.
Nanny state,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Can I just go back? Is when you decided to escape, you must have realized that you're going to leave your family.
Yeah.
And you probably won't see them again.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, thank you for asking this question, because this is something which I think is over your imagination, because there were quite a few people who did decide. The communist regime was there 40 years. Within those 40 years, a lot of people made the same decision as I did,
Yes.
yeah, and escaped. And all of them had common one thing. You had to leave everything behind. Everything. Not only the last penny you had, yeah, but everything, all your relations, you know,
Photos.
all
and
your
stuff.
loves. Well, of course, all material things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just escaped with one rucksack, backpack, you know. So whatever you can eventually put in your backpack, this is what I was escaping with.
Because the reason being is we have a lot of bushfires in Australia, and I know people can have great TVs, pool tables, all this stuff, but if a fire is coming, what they grab is the photo books. What they grab is mementos.
Yeah.
Things that have no value to anyone else.
I'll tell
And
you.
so to leave them behind
Yeah.
must be incredibly
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
Because you're leaving behind your past.
But the hardest was really that you will never ever see the country again, and you will never ever see people who you love again. Your family, your loves, you know, never again. Because that was the practice. That was very much the practice, you know, of the regime. That was the part of the fear they tried to generate, you know, because the fear was the tool they managed the society with, the same as here.
So when they had here that if you didn't get vaccinated, people threw you out of the family.
Exactly.
That's exactly the same.
Exactly. That's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same, you know?
So it
The
teaches
fear.
us that love has a border, and that border is governed by fear. With enough fear, people will not display their love for you. They might still love you, but they'll kick you out of the family because fear has conquered love.
Yeah. Yeah. So I forgot the question you asked.
Sorry, I'm tearing up, so I forgot the question too. So when you decided to escape, so the decisions of like if you and I take it you couldn't tell anybody.
Of course not.
So when you're looking at your mother or father for the last time,
Once again, I really meant it seriously when I said the government did have a network of informers, you know, and in Russia it reached the stage where the father couldn't trust his son,
yeah,
you know, all right? So nobody, not one person from my surrounds could know about my intention
yeah.
and didn't know. Yeah. So it was,
So you didn't get to say goodbye to anyone.
no,
You just had to vanish.
yeah, exactly.
What was that like the last time you saw? Who were you closer to, your father or your mother?
Well, both were not, neither of them were alive, you know, but I
Oh,
still,
they were dead. Oh, who else was
but
there?
I still
Close
did have,
friends or someone?
I did have a sisters.
All right.
I did have a huge, beautiful friendships, you know.
Was there? I just want to get to a point to clarify the point. Was there someone you were very close to, who you couldn't tell, who the last time you were with them,
Of
you
course,
couldn't even say goodbye to them?
of
And
course,
what was that like? Could they pick up from you that what's wrong
of
with you?
course. And I went few days prior my departure. I went there and spent time with them, and they had no idea. I cherished every touch, every eyesight, you know, and I sort of sucked it in, you know.
And at the same time, you couldn't let them know at all. You had to
Exactly,
hide it.
exactly,
So inside, you were full of
exactly,
turmoil, but you
exactly.
had to be placid.
But I was not a good actor because many years ago later, when the regime sort of collapsed, and I met the person, she told me, I knew there was something going on. Yeah.
So how you escaped with a rucksack? What did you swim the Danube? I mean, what was the route to escape? What country did you escape to?
Oh well, it's a long story. I don't think we've got a time for these things, or just I just crossed the boundary between at that time Slovenia and Austria.
Oh, so you went into Austria?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So at that time, only a few weeks prior my crossing of the boundary, the Voice of America was informing us that there is a shooting on the border between Slovenia and Austria. And yes, it was truth. It was the truth. Yeah, they did shoot a couple of escapees.
So you could have been killed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Did you see any guards when you crossed?
no.
But inside, how are you coping with the fear? You must have had fear. Or by that time, were you going, no, I don't care?
Well, something which I will never forget, ever forget, you know. And so you insist you want to hear the story.
Oh, I really want to hear this story.
All right. The
have
reason
time.
why I was talking about a backpack was that my intention was to climb the mountains between Austria and Slovenia, you know, and what I had in that backpack was my little daughter.
What do you mean?
What do you mean your daughter was in your real daughter? How old was she?
She was small.
So the only thing you took was your daughter.
I lost my face in a storm cold fear. They bought my voice, then took my tears. When you look at me now, I'm a poster child, hiding all my pain under a smile. And you'll never see me, because that's not allowed. I was born of light, now I'm a shadow of a shadow. But I dream of flying to a sky called me, where I'm singing in the clouds like a freedom banshee. And they're trying to call me down to the safety of their cage, yet all they have is money, and I've already paid. Soar high into myself. The moon plucked me from the dust on their shelf. Can you see me whirling through their bars? I'm warming my soul in a sea of stars. And all I have to do to reach the sky is dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye. And all I have to do to reach the sky is dream that I kissed all my fears goodbye. You should try it, you know, for this land is built under an endless sky. And the key to their cage is the courage